Okay, so in this video, what I want to do is show you a really, really cool way of vibe coding as well as using multiple AIs and hopefully getting your students to interact a little bit more with the resources that you're giving them. So within this is a app that I used Google's AI to create. I then used Claude Code to make it better and basically created this resource. The resource has multiple levels of flashcards that the students can use, as well as a quiz and visuals that they can interact with. But more importantly, the ability to download everything that they've done on these key terms and this quiz into OneNote or back into Obsidian, with the results in OneNote looking like this and based around the answers from this area of the app. One thing I want to note is in the past, I've used these apps and these resources and the students have been able to download their answers. With this button now they can, and on this quiz, they can now take this, and again, what they can do is download these answers and put them into OneNote where I can check them, or this could just be a reference to how they did at a specific time. All of this is copied essentially just from this. And what I want to do in this video is simply go through how I created this. The really exciting thing about this is everything that you're seeing here was created either in Google's AI or Claude Code. And the really exciting thing that I love about this is that all the answers, all the quizzes, I can download and see how my students have done. So basically all I did with this is I took a markdown file from a book resource that I'm using within my classes, and I gave it this very simple prompt. So on this level, this thing is perfectly fine. Essentially what it's done is that it's taken this like flashcard idea, and because it's based around this book, this extract that I gave my students, I know that the information is correct. As you can see, I can go through next cards. I can basically use this as a active recall for the keywords and definitions that we've used. It's not perfect, so in this signal path, I noticed that once I started to click on these ideas, that it wouldn't really reset or explain things. Quiz was all right, it wasn't very detailed. And as far as this is concerned, I didn't really like the way that this looked. So overall, there were some handful of things that I probably would have changed about this app, but this is where Claude Code comes in. So all I did with this is I went into my code here, I copied all this out into a text file, and then what I did is I put that text file into Claude Code. As you can see from this is a basic prompt, just wanting to suggest ways that I could improve this resource. And what it came back with was quite interesting stuff. A few areas that I thought definitely you're on the right track, and other areas that I just thought it just missed it completely. I like it how it gave me this code, so I can just basically copy this back into my AI and have it update itself. But overall, I just thought it was not really hitting the mark with where I wanted it to go. And that's when I noticed that it was just researching this A-level teaching tool, and I wanted it to be specific on my class as well as my results. So my new prompt basically referenced my lower sixth class and also the extract of the book. Now this gave it context about what I was referring to, was much more in line with what I wanted it to be used for my students. So one thing I wanted to go back to within this was, although all of this is really great stuff, and again, what I can just do is if I like one of these, I can highlight this code and basically just copy this back in here into this conversation here. Having said that though, one of the great things about this is I've now got an assistant in Claude Code that is going to be able to check all this code, A, to make sure that it's right, and also B, to make sure that it sort of falls in line with what I'm doing within my classes. So throughout all this, it's referencing the results that I've got from various quizzes, my daily lessons, any sort of information regarding the software that I use, differentiation within mixability. So yeah, essentially this was exactly what I wanted. So I simply copied the code or suggestions back into Google, and then this is what it created. I like this a little bit more. It's a little bit more accurate, and also it's going to have these results that I've got from various quizzes. So again, after it made all these suggestions from this code and I created this new app, I then went back into my code, downloaded this again, put it back into my text editor, and then had Claude Code reference it again. I find this to be a really interesting aspect about using Claude Code as well as another AI to sort of work together to implement useful code to enhance resources, but also just to have an assistant there to make suggestions about what I could do. So again, after it made these suggestions, all I did was copy this code back into the AI, and I kept asking it to update itself. One thing I do want to mention about this is the apps that I have created. I haven't liked the idea that essentially a student will interact with the artifact or the app and they don't have the option to save anything. I recognize that there are screenshots and whatnot and they can copy in text, but I sort of felt that was a step in the wrong direction. So one thing that Claude Code mentioned was this. Essentially, it knew that I was using OneNote and Obsidian, and it recognized how I usually give these quizzes on a Friday. So what it did is that it recommended this exporting of this study guide in the form of exporting it to Obsidian. So essentially what this will do is it will create a markdown file based around what the students have answered and also the correct answer. So after implementing all this code and going back and forth with Claude Code and Gemini, this is the final version of this. And what I like a lot about this is it's broken this down into foundation, intermediate, advanced stuff, which will support students at different levels. In each one of these categories, you can also click on this and you can explain by AI using an analogy. I'm quite keen on this idea that they can self-reflect on what the question was and how they did. But most importantly, I like the idea that they can click on this and it will create a markdown file that we can then use in either Obsidian or drag and drop in that markdown file back into an AI. The quiz was the same thing. Notice in this that you can't go into the next level until you do these foundation marks. And within this, you get sort of these basic questions. And at the end, when it tells you your score, percentage, and also how you've done out of these marks, what I like about this a lot is, again, you can copy this to OneNote, which looks like this. So I'm really happy with this because what this will do is it'll give the students a chance for them to copy and paste information back into OneNote from this app, and it'll give me a chance as a teacher to go through their answers and basically how they've done.